My name is Jane Buckinevich, and I'm the Faculty Director of Light, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Nicholas Huba, who is from the Press of Atlantic City, along with 4 panel experts from various segments of the gaming, hospitality, and tourism industry. Shoreview is a look at the results of the summer after we did the Shorecast panel in the spring, which is looking forward to see what the summer results will be. So I have a few opening comments to set the stage for today's discussion, and then we'll get right into the panel. Can I have the clicker, please? Okay, so at the beginning of the summer, panelists predicted a promising summer despite some economic uncertainty. They were feeling at that time that it would be a delayed reaction to some of those economic impacts and that they were hopeful that the summer would have good results. The overall pace of consumer spending was expected to be down because of the concerns of the economy. So as of before the summer, June through August of 2025, the casino industry had a pretty good summer. Total gross gaming revenue, which includes internet gaming, was up more than 15%. But more encouraging for the industry is that brick and mortar gaming revenues were up 5.5% year over year. So it really, after being down the first part of the year, that was a positive result for the casino industry. One negative side of the industry is that employment was down almost 3%. It's unclear, however, if that's because of economic efficiency or because of the difficulty finding employees for the industry. We measure visitation through the traffic that goes through the Pleasantville Toll Plaza, and that was up very slightly at 0.6% year over year for the summer. Meetings and conventions, it was a great summer for meetings and conventions, and the efforts of Visit Atlantic City seemed to be paying off. So year over year, there was a 150% increase in the number of shows and a 41% increase in the delegate spending of the people who attended those shows. So that was a positive sign for the summer. We tried to look at the impact of the air show on visitation, but it was difficult to do a comparison because the air show was held in July this year, where it was previously held in August. But looking at the data, comparing the days of the air show year over year, it didn't seem to have as much impact as the last air show in 2023, based on only the counts through the Pleasantville Toll Plaza. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Nicholas Huba, and go ahead, Nick.
Before we get started with the questions, let's go around the room and kind of introduce ourselves. I'm Nicholas Huba, digital editor, news editor at the Press of Atlantic City.
Oliver Cook, Stockton University.
Good morning, Mary Molliver, Visit Atlantic City.
Ben Rose, the Greater Wildwoods Tourism Authority and New Jersey Tourism Industry Association.
Firas Shawi, the owner of Brewberry Cafe here in Atlantic City.
So let's start with, how did the summer go for each of you, and what are your overall thoughts on it? And did it meet, exceed, or was it an underperforming summer? Ben, we'll start with you.
We're kind of waiting for state numbers right now. We don't have July and August tourism tax numbers yet. Our numbers are only through June. And up through June, as you know, June was a very wet month. And we're about 13% behind plan through June. July and August looked like they were very strong months. And then we hit our September season, our second season of events and festivals, and September looked very strong. So we're looking for a fairly good summer, not a great summer because of weather. And we're looking to meet or exceed last year's numbers. But last year's numbers were record-breaking numbers, so we're just about par with that.
Mary?
We feel at Visit Atlantic City that this summer did take a rebound from a disappointing June. June was absolutely just what you said. some really not so great weather. From a meeting standpoint, the convention center was full, and year over date, our numbers were up, so we were very happy with that. We have a lot of sporting events in the convention center during the summers. That's how we fill it up. Not traditional meetings, but you know, we had a lot of basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments, so we bring in the younger kids, and they fill it up. Those kids go out, they spend a lot of money in the, you know, with their parents in the general area, especially at the walk. They love us over there at the Tanger Outlets. So for us, you know, it was a good summer in a meeting, you know, from a meeting perspective.
Ferris, how was your business over the summer, and did you notice anything different than past summers?
Okay, if I'm comparing this summer with the previous summer, I would say I was not expecting any changes, but it was a good summer. I saw like more foot traffic. It was good summer for reconnections. I saw families, kids coming. Like it was like really good summer.
You talked about families and kids. Is that something you've seen before, or did you see more of them coming into the area?
I'm not talking about the locals. I'm talking about the visitors.
Yeah, visitors.
Yes. So the visitors, like I saw more people. Like as a business owner, I have a coffee shop here. So I saw visitors coming from Philadelphia, coming from Cape May. Yes, like from Washington Township.
Oh. Oliver, overall, what were your kind of thoughts on it? You usually give us a broader view on a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, Jane mentioned the brick and mortar casino win, which is always a pretty good indicator of how the industry has performed. And that was, I think, up, as she noted, about 5.5% or so year on year. So that's a decent number. That said, my look at summer employment across June, July, and August suggests that summer employment was down about, you know, a little over 1% or so. It translates into roughly 2,000 jobs, give or take. Retail was down more than 3% actually year on year, which is another fairly decent indicator. And L&H employment, leisure and hospitality employment, was also down 2.5%, 3%. Interestingly, though, I mentioned to someone, Ben mentioned we're waiting on some final data points, right, from the state in August. But kind of one larger kind of metric that we track is the hotel and motel tax. And that looks like it was down pretty significantly, at least in the first 2 months. So perhaps tied to this, you know, the June numbers driving a lot of that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens in August. But that hotel and motel tax was down, you know, almost 50%. Now that's including both counties, both Atlantic and Cape May, with Cape May being down more. So again, we're going to kind of, those usually, you know, the August number we would normally, I think, have now, so I don't know exactly what's going on. We're waiting for the August numbers. We'll have to see. So my sense is that it was, you know, there's some good news, but also some pockets where that kind of lead me to believe that, you know, maybe some other folks didn't have as banner year as they maybe did a year ago.
The brick and mortar situation, I think, is a very interesting one, because for years we've talked about internet online gaming kind of becoming like this behemoth and everything. And now it seems like brick and mortar is having a step back. If brick and mortar's up, shouldn't the tourism economy overall be better?
Well, I think it kind of depends, right? I mean, to the extent that, you know, B&M properties are bringing people down, right? Mm-hmm. Then the question becomes, okay, well, you know, what is the overall spend, you know, both inside of the casinos and obviously outside of the casinos? And so to the extent that they remain an obvious attraction, right, during the summer, you would expect there to be some relationship. But that said, you know, like from my kind of economic development, you know, hat perspective, things like, you know, like how many people are actually being employed by the industry. Jane mentioned this is down a little bit year on year, not dramatically. The casino, hotels employment was off about 2.5%, roughly 500 jobs, 600 jobs, something like that. And then, Cape May is obviously related, but it's also different. I think Cape May probably to the extent that they didn't, maybe meet, what happened in 2024. There's a lot of other things that are obviously going on, which I think many of us talked about here last May, right? Including things like international visitation. I'll be interested to hear what Ben has to say about, what they think about the Canadian story and some of these other things.
Mary, I guess same thing with brick and mortar and how you feel it either increased the overall economy, tourism economy, or how it impacted it.
I feel that there's a trend across of the United States of very overpriced airlines right now. So all the tickets are very expensive to travel, so people are staying closer to home, taking more shorter and frequent trips. That bodes well for Atlantic City, considering we're, a few hours drive within 1/3 of the nation's population. People, if you're taking a quick trip to Atlantic City, perhaps they are, casino gaming was up. Maybe they're just coming over, gaming, and leaving. And that's probably why the statistics say that that's the way it is. But, part of it, Visit Atlantic City, is we're attempting 70% of all the overnights in the city are one night. And it behooves us to work on the region, the Atlantic City itself and the region, to expand that overnight stay to at least a couple of nights, so that the people and the visitors are here and they're spending their money outside of the casinos.
Do you think there's a reason for it just one night? Is it just like day trippers, or is it an issue of like not having enough for people to do when they're here? Like, what are kind of the reasons?
I think there's a lot. We all know there's so much to do in Atlantic City. However, sometimes people just don't know. They think of Atlantic City as a summer, oh, it's a summer, it's the beach, it's the boardwalk. And then, as soon as the winter comes, oh, there's nothing to do there, which is completely untrue. There's so much to do. People bring their families with them. Some people don't bring their families. A lot of it is bachelorette parties, one night kind of thing, stuff like that, where people just come down and they just stay the one night. We need to expand the region, expand what there is to do, not just in Atlantic City, but in all of the surrounding towns, to make it more of a destination where you want to stay for a few more days.
How important is teaming up with other towns to sell that aspect of, hey, you can come here, you can stay a couple nights, hit a couple things, like go down to Cape May, Wildwood. Look, you have Congress Hall down there, you have a lot of great stuff down there. How important is to sell the region specifically over the individual places like Wildwood, Ocean City, and Atlantic City?
Well, Atlantic City it's not really for everybody. Clearly, you have to be 21 to go into the casinos. So if you're here with your family in Ocean City and the parents want to go out for the night, they come up to Atlantic City. So it works. Or you're in Wildwood with a group of your friends and you're all over 21, you come to Atlantic City. You don't necessarily, back to the one night, overnight 70%, you don't necessarily have to stay in Atlantic City to enjoy Atlantic City. So it's very important for Visit Atlantic City to work with the other marketing groups in the other towns, so we can package together what we all have to make it, a whole shore experience, not just Atlantic City.
Ben, more on this topic. Are you guys seeing the same kind of trend with hotels, like one night, is it a one night Wildwood?
We're definitely seeing a different trend as we did post-pandemic. I think the pre-pandemic. I think the post-pandemic demand has kind of waned right now. People have spent their American Rescue Plan money. They started putting debt on their credit cards. They're spending less money right now. And I think the economy has gotten them to really cut back on their vacations. We've seen a trend for bookings closer to time of departure, closer than ever. I think the average booking window right now is 16 days, and that's very unusual. Average length of stay is 2.7 days in Wildwood right now, and that's a major change than before. And I think there's several reasons. People are taking more frequent vacations, but shorter vacations, and the affordability factor, I think, enters into it, where they might have stayed for a week or 5 days. Maybe now they can only afford 2.5, 3 days. So I think that plays a lot into it. So we're seeing that trend of shorter stays, booking pace closer to time of departure, and spending less money. the supermarkets are doing very well in Wildwood right now because people are making meals in their rentals or their hotels and motels, and they may go out one night or two nights to a restaurant. So we see that trend happening not only just in Wildwood, but the entire state and also really throughout the country right now in tourism.
That gets me another question. When you guys describe kind of the overall health of the economy right now,
Yeah.
regarding overall and regarding specifically tourism, it sounds like what you're telling us is there isn't a lot. People don't have the disposable income they used to have to do these kind of things. Oliver, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, my sense is that we definitely saw at the end of the summer a job market nationally that was a lot softer than I think a lot of people thought. And that's always, of course, data that we get ex post, right? And so as people are living through that, I'm not surprised, Ben's comment, I think people naturally kind of start to pull back, right? I mean, we had already last spring started to discuss uncertainty kind of weighing on the economy. I think that's somewhat obvious. A lot of that is just tied to kind of policy uncertainty. I think, tariffs are involved. I think there are a lot of other things that are involved that make it just more difficult for people to know 3-6 months out what their own lives are going to look like, what their own businesses are going to look like. It makes it more difficult to plan, and to the extent that ends up showing up in you're not spending as much, you're not going out to meals as much. The discretionary portion of income that really drives L&H, leisure and hospitality industry, I think that ultimately is kind of finally slowly starting to show up.
Ferris, how has the economy impacted your business? Are you noticing people spending less when they come in, or maybe looking for a better deal? Like oh, we'll only get one cup of coffee, we won't get a day. You know what I mean? Those kind of things.
Yes, I have noticed a lot of changes on spending. People start spending less, maybe because the cost for the business owners raised up, so we have to raise our prices. Previous summer, the prices were less. After the tariff and other impact happening there, people we have to raise our prices. So people start spending less. And for me, as a business owner, to get more customer, I have to run more promotions, more offers for the customer to be able to afford what they are to spend. I remember previous summer, they used to come buy 2 items, 3 items. This summer, they used to come only buy 1 item. That's how much they can afford, because the prices of 2 items now is the price of 1 item. I think the tariff, and most of our product is imported, either from Europe, Mexico, Colombia. The coffee, I have a coffee shop, the coffee prices increased. It's unbelievably, something so high. Chocolate is so high. Paper products, cups, containers, all this, it's pushed me to raise the prices. So the customer not gonna afford the spending if their salary remain the same. How are they gonna afford to spend more? They're gonna spend less.
Mary, I guess on the same topic of the healthy economy, when people come into the area for meetings and sporting events and stuff like that, have you guys noticed less spending overall that they do outside of the event venues and stuff like that?
We actually have a lot of people who, we offer a lot of programs over at Visit Atlantic City to the groups that are coming in to give them discounts within the city. So we're trying to help out the smaller businesses, or any of the businesses really, because we have a program called the Show Me Your Badge program. So if you're coming in or show me your bib, or if you're a kid, show me your wristband, if you're at the soccer games or the basketball tournaments, and so if you come in, then we gather all information from our marketing partners out in the city and the region and ask them if they'd like to give discounts to the people who are attending these events. And it's funny because we do it on a quarterly basis. We just put it out again for the last quarter, and we noticed that we had, it doesn't sound like a lot, but 20 additional businesses wanted to participate in this discounted program, and they can give anything they'd like. If you're at a restaurant and you order, you can get a free appetizer, you can get a free, drink. But it was interesting to see the large jump. We've never, we'll pick up one or two here and there, but 20 additional businesses wanted to give a discount to just lure the people into their establishments. And I feel that's because they're actually not leaving the convention center. They're staying in. You're really not supposed to bring food into the convention center, outside food, but we see it, especially with the kids and the parents. And so, yeah, they're also offering discounts within the convention center. So it's kind of like they're trying to keep them in, but they're trying to lure them out. So, yeah. It's tricky.
It's interesting you talk about those kind of events and things like that. I do want to talk about that for a minute. You talk about sporting events coming up, like youth volleyball. I noticed you guys had a bunch of them. I think you have some cheerleading there too, right?
Cheerleading, basketball is very large, especially in the summer, which is great. It's because there's not a lot of meetings held in the summer, so we fill it out. We try to fill it out with those types of events.
I know years ago there was not. The Atlantic City was kind of like a sports desert in a way. This stuff didn't happen there. How important is it to draw those events during this summer? Because, the kind of, at being a parent of a teenage boy, you totally understand that sports rules the world sometimes with them. How important is it to draw all them in to be able to showcase the city, and also from an economics reason?
Well, if we didn't have those groups, we'd have no groups in the convention center, because meetings traditionally are not held in the summer. We have, because of the hotel rooms, there's not a lot of inventory, and it has been changing. While we do have 16,000 available, rooms available in the city in the summer when it's a very busy season, with tourists, hotel casinos they're not willing to give us those discounted rooms for the conventions, like the actual meetings and conventions. So with the sporting events, those groups come in and out. They'll stay over, but they don't necessarily stay over. You're bringing your son to a basketball event, or I'm bringing my daughter to a dance event. We leave, we come, we stay for a day, we do our thing, and we leave. So it fills up the convention center, but let me tell you, there is shopping involved with that. So we'll leave, we'll shop, we'll eat, but we necessarily don't sleep over. So we're putting the money into the community, but we're not necessarily staying the night.
Ben, Wildwood's been really successful with that over the years with some of their sporting events. Like on the beach, you have the beach baseball, and then you have the beach soccer and a bunch of other stuff. How important is it to have those type of sporting events that lure basically whole families into the?
Well, sporting events are very important. It's the main thrust of our marketing plan for the convention center. We have major events happening all throughout the winter with cheering, dance, band, wrestling tournaments, basketball tournaments. And when they come, they bring the whole family. And a lot of times they're being introduced to the Wildwoods for the very first time. Obviously, it's out of season, but they like what they see, and hopefully they'll come back as visitors in the summertime. So that's one of our main marketing pushes. We're constantly filled. I would say 48 out of the 52 weekends in the Wildwoods with major events and sporting events going into the convention center. And they bring in families, so they don't just come by themselves. They come with siblings, mom and dad, and they stay overnight in hotel rooms. So,
speaking on the issue of events and things like that, one of the things that returned this year was an air show to Atlantic City, and also the introduction of one in Wildwood.
yes.
How important are air shows to shore communities and drawing people in, Oliver?
I think, this was kind of a big debate. Obviously, we had a summer without them, right? And so there was a lot of debate, actually on one of these panels not too long ago that some of you may remember, whether or not, these were net positive or negative. And I suppose it was, to some extent kind of dependent upon one's perspective. I can remember there was a small business owner here suggesting that perhaps there are a lot of folks that leave in anticipation of the mass of people that come. And so maybe, for some folks, it actually turns out to be, not a huge gain. That said, clearly bringing thousands of people kind of at a larger, kind of at a larger scale, brings obvious dollars, right, to the area. And so I think Jane had this, an attempt to kind of try to suggest, what happened here over the air show days, which were brought back, and I know Mary's going to talk about this. My sense is that they're important. Are they the entire summer? Obviously not. But I think that they can be an important part of a summer.
Absolutely. The Visit Atlantic City Soar and Shore Festival was, in our opinion, highly successful. Yet, no, we did not have the air show last year, and this was a different type of air show. It was more a civilian air show. There's no military involved in it. It drew over 150,000 people on, it was a Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday was the practice day, Wednesday was the actual show day. Like I said, over 150,000 people came, putting in $19 million into the economics, of the city. It was a huge success. We tried to make it into a week-long festival instead of just those 2 days of the air show. Jimmy Johnson, his fishing tournament was over in the marina, so that was over there. We had the Slippery Stairs from ESPN were on the beach in front of Bally's. There was a car show and film festival at Boardwalk Hall, and we ended the night of the air show with fireworks down by the Tropicana. So we tried to spread it out throughout the whole city so that it wasn't just in front of, in that beach area in front of the Claridge. We do have dates on hold for 2026 and 27. So I can't tell you anything.
Is it going to look similar to this year's
No.
when it comes to not the air show portion of it, but the auxiliary events? Because I know that
Yes.
was something that was highly touted leading up to this, that it was not just an air show, it was a week long of events.
Right, and this was our first time out of the gate. It was 13 weeks from the time we said, hey, we're going to go for it, to the time of the show. Actually, it was 13 weeks of planning, which in the air show world is not that long. In 2026, absolutely, we are moving it. I can tell you it will move from July to May. So we will continue to use that model of a week-long festival. We will be bringing in different types of things. I can't really divulge too much of it.
Why the move from July to May?
July, July, we had it in July because that's when they were available.
Okay.
We hired a company that produced the air show for us, and because it was such a tight turnaround, those were the dates that they were available. So May is more conducive to when it's more of a downtime, not a downtime to say, but July is the height of the visitors, and we'd like to draw the people in a time that may not be as busy as July. Let's bring 150,000 people in May, when they may not necessarily come. Next year, you're going to see the return of sponsorships, chalets on the beach, more additional activations on the boardwalk. We had a few, mostly military, this year, but we're going to do, the activations all the way down the boardwalk. So it will become more a larger festival, and then in 2027. So it's every year it's just going to build and become larger.
Ben Wildwood introduced their air show for the first time, I think, in a while. I guess talk about the reason behind it and how successful it was, and what are the plans for the future of it?
Well, it ties into our main goal of extending the season in the Wildwoods from traditionally Memorial Day to Labor Day. We try to extend the season in both the shoulder season pre and shoulder season post main summer season. And that's one of our mandates that we have. So we decided to have it in September. We had a weekend that really didn't have a major event. It had several smaller events, and then we decided that's where we wanted the air show. And we booked it then. We do that. We provide funding for event promoters. We have a fund that brings event promoters in to do events in the off-season, in the shoulder season, to drive more business out of the traditional summer tourism business. And the air show was one of the features of that. We will have it again this September in 2026, the same weekend, the 11th and 12th. And it was our first air show. It did very, very well. It drew close to 150,000 people over 2 days, but more importantly, it had an economic impact of over $36 million in business to the communities. The hotels, we have over 8,000 hotel rooms. Most of the hotels were sold out for the 2 days, so that's a major impact. And anecdotally, one of the restaurant owners came to us and said that they had an increase of 65% on Friday and an increase of 81% on Saturday over the previous year in business. So we take that as a very successful weekend, but in the shoulder season, which is what we're trying to build up.
One question for Faris. From a business owner's perspective, what are your thoughts on events like the air show? Are they beneficial to your business, or do they hamper them in a way?
The air show this year was an electric for us, just pushes family to not just it's not to experience only inside the casino, to experience the boardwalk, experience the city, the streets, the coffee shops, the shops, actual shops. Yes, it's benefited us a lot. Like the air show, push people to explore the city. The streets are surrounding them, to see what is in Atlantic City.
It brings people out.
Yes.
It brings them outside of the air condition.
Is that one of the biggest issues with Atlantic City? Is you say air conditioning? The casinos kind of that kind of theory to get people outside those things, to get them into the city, get them on the boardwalk, get them spending their money outside those palaces?
It used to be years ago, I've been around for a long time, that a casino property will want their people to come, eat there, game there, sleep there, shop there, and just become like an isolated, and we don't want the people to go next door to this casino hotel or this store or out on the boardwalk. And it's taken many, many years, but I can see the turn, because they've now see that it's beneficial to have a city that offers activities, offers things outside of their building. Not everybody just wants to come and sit at a table all day or sit at a slot machine all day and gamble. They want to, walk on the boardwalk. They want to experience the actual city, what the city has to offer. And I think over the years, the casino properties, or that whole mentality, has kind of, softened, and they see the benefit of other things that the people can do.
How long of a process has that been? Like, that seems like it's more of
I've been here for 30 years.
It's been a slow burn to get to this.
It's slow, but it's working. It's working. It's coming around slowly, but it's working.
I guess, Oliver, for you, how important is that to get people outside of the casino?
I mean, it's critical. I mean, that's to the extent that the casinos are, have long obviously been an attraction, but to ensure that those dollars that show up, right, every dollar of, gaming revenue generates additional dollars somewhere else, in the greater Atlantic City economy. I mean, this is critical to this whole concept of multiplier, the idea of multiplier process, right? That you get knock-on effects, right, with people literally out, walking the streets and exploring the city. I mean, I think the pedestrianism aspect of it, this is I mean, there's lots of stuff that we've tried for, I've been here 25 years at this point, trying to promote that aspect.
Well, everybody knows that there's casinos in Atlantic City. It's what they don't know what else there is in Atlantic City. If you look at our marketing, Visit Atlantic Cities, or, before that, Meet AC, Atlantic City Convention and Visitors Authority, we really never market the gaming aspect. It's always the other aspects. When we go to trade shows and meetings, our trade show booths, we really don't talk about it, because everybody knows about it. Everybody knows there's gaming in Vegas. Everybody knows there's gaming in Atlantic City, but what else is there to do in Atlantic City?
Talking about big events, one thing I kind of want to touch on was, how successful Wildwood has been with the Barefoot Country Music Festival. It started off during, I think, the first year post-COVID, and it's grown to this behemoth. Ben, how important is that event, and how successful was it this year? And how did we end up with having one of the largest country music festivals in the country in Wildwood?
It's incredible. Well, it wasn't by accident. We saw that they did a country music festival in Myrtle Beach called the Carolina Country Music Fest, and we found the promoters who did that festival. And we actually went after those promoters. We got them up to the Wildwoods for a tour. We sat in meetings with them, and they were very leery because they didn't think New Jersey was a hotbed of country music. And we tried to tell them that 20 minutes outside of any city, you have country music fans. And they took a chance, and they came, I think it was in 2019, and did their first show and did extremely well. And then, of course, COVID happened, so they didn't do it in 2020. But I think for the last 2 years now, they've sold out 40,000 tickets for 4 days in a row every single year. And they're looking to expand. They're looking to bring another major concert into the Wildwoods as well, with a different type of music genre. And they're very, very happy and very successful. But I mean, we were very proactive in going after that event and trying to do everything we can to get that promoter to understand that this would be an actual ideal venue for them. And it worked out.
Are you surprised by how successful it's been? Like, if I gave you a true serum right now, would you tell me you think
I
it
was
was that?
surprised how many country music fans there are, not only in New Jersey, but in New York and on the East Coast. Country music right now is the top 40. That used to be so prevalent, back in the day. It's the festival itself is a 4-day festival. It's all day and all night, so it's not just a concert. It's an actual happening, and people come and they spend 4 days in the Wildwoods, and they go out to dinner and they buy things on the boardwalk, and it's a real economic impact to the island.
Do you have a number on how much of an economic impact it is?
I don't have that number, unfortunately.
As we move away from some, one other, and I want to continue on with Wildwood and kind of Cape May for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk at the start of the year regarding President Trump's policies regarding immigration and stuff like that. And we all know that Canadian visitors are a huge part of Cape May County's tourism. What was the impact of the kind of the policies and things like that on the Canadian population that would come to?
Yeah.
I know we had a story in our paper about there was large concerns from people in Quebec that they weren't going to come back down because of the issues and everything.
Yeah, we predicted a huge deficit in Canadian visitors this year, and it actually came out to be about a 60% decrease in the number of Canadian visitors. So that was pretty impressive to us. I mean, we didn't expect the Canadian visitors to come back. So what we did, we went after, we increased our marketing to the Latino family market. And that was a major marketing push for us to bring more Latino families into the Wildwoods to help defray the lack of Canadian visitors. And that really worked out well. So overall, we didn't get hurt all that much.
By targeting Latin families, Latino families, how did you do that? Did you pick specific geographic regions to target with advertising?
Well, we target all of the ads in Spanish,
okay.
Hitting Latino families through Google digital display and video, through Facebook and through Meta, and also Hispanic radio stations, and just really pinpointing and targeting that market, and targeting the market with ads in their language, in their native language. And it worked out very well. We had a nice increase in that business to make up for the lack of Canadian visitors that were here.
Overall, for anyone on the panel, international vacationers from overseas or any international kind of visitors, were they down a lot for overall? Did you guys notice a difference, or?
I actually this is my coworker who works in our tourism department. And I'm like, were they? This is Kiara. Kiara, you want to answer that? You want to have any input?
It did go
Wait for the.
Way to put her on the spot, but she
didn't
is
know
in
she was from
tourism.
put
Tourism
her on the
has been
spot.
down with our Canadian travelers. We actually did expect that. So similarly to Ben Rose, we have started going outside with our marketing. We are now working with Latin American marketers. We are still doing a lot with the UK, Germany, Switzerland. That's still up and it's still running really well. So we kind of expected that to happen. We're working on it.
Are those other markets? I'm sorry now that you've joined the panel. Are those areas that you've targeted in the past, or are those new markets that you're targeting?
So we kind of worked with them before, but we just kind of ramped up how often we're going. So we do Brand USA, we partner with the state of New Jersey. We do a lot more with our marketing via, not so much as radio, but with our print and our advertising, bringing them over here, showing them around the city, showing them what we have to offer, and sending out our materials overseas so they can take them to their trade shows.
Now that we've kind of, what's,
I had to go with the expert.
No,
over
it's
there.
fine. I'm glad
My
you did.
international expert.
as we look at the shoulder season, we're almost at the end of it. How has the shoulder season been in each community? And Faris, we'll start with you. How has your business been during this shoulder season that we've gone through?
It's kind of like it's walking on a tightrope, sensitive. I would say stable, but in the wind, like fall is slowing down.
You said a tightrope. Is that because of the lack of people and also the increased cost that you're seeing too because of like policies and stuff?
Yes, it's increasing it's tight because like the economy, the staffing challenging. I would say tariffs, everything going up. So, but I'm sure like Atlantic County is like working on this, maybe evolving to improve, to do better. I see so many things going on. Like I appreciate Visit Atlantic City for all this marketing they are doing for and Chelsea economy. They are really working hard on this. Maybe they need support from our community, from the local, from the business owners, partnership with them, do more marketing, more social media. I really think like we should, like everybody should work more and spend more on social media. That will boost everything. I see like it's here, they are trying hard. Visit Atlantic City, I received so many like influencers. They came from Visit Atlantic City. Tried to help as much as I can to bring the city alive again. But I feel it's like it need more collaborations with more department, Kerda, Chelsea, Visit Atlantic City, all this department to boost trends, more like social media. It's really important. I've seen it. I experience it everywhere. I've been traveling, going everywhere. I see how much social media affect. We have here in Atlantic City, it's not much marketing about what is going on outside the city, outside the casinos. Like when they reopened the aquarium, I did not see that much marketing on reopening. Even it boost the family to come here, push them, more kids to experience what is going on in the shops. Support the business owners with more advertising. Like,
So you're saying outside more go to social media and more influencers like do things on stuff that's outside of the casinos and stuff like that.
Yes,
like
casinos.
mom and pop shop, like your coffee shop, like the new restaurants that have opened over the last couple of years and things like that.
yes, but also at the same time, when casinos thrive, we can feel the energy. We can feel the conversations, the connections. So all connected, but maybe casinos has to like advertise what is going on in the city. More events. Like here, I've been like there is an ideas to do, like I've been talking to Chelsea economics to do more events, like why wouldn't do breakfast with Santa? Why don't do trick treats around the mom and pop shops? Like, and here we have this Dover Park. We can use it and we can advertise it and we can let the local, there is an event here, like come here for reading time, connect with the friends, connect with families, bringing life to this city. Like, of course, the local residents here are important, but also to drive people from outside city, it's really important. I've seen it on Wildwood, Cape May. There is like, they show you the shore, they show you where they have restaurants, they have these trendy places there. Atlantic City, they are weak on this. Show, support. That's what I meant, like, needed.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I guess from Ben, from your shoulder season perspective, what do you say? What have you seen so far as we wind it? It's kind of winding
September
down.
has been really strong. We have major events every single weekend through September and through about the third week in October. And that's been doing well. We focused on that to really extend the season. And I think you and I spoke before the shortcast about this. We have a fund that we give event promoters money to actually promote their events and try to bring events in the shoulder season. So we focus mainly on festivals and events in September, October, November. We do a big holiday push in the month of November and December. And then we start up again in the spring.
Mary?
For Visit Atlantic City, the fall brings some of our largest conventions. So we are in the midst of the meeting, trade show, and convention season. We will be hosting over the next few months the New Jersey Education Association, the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, and the New Jersey School Boards. Those three conventions alone, trade show conventions, they bring close to 100,000 people into the city. They actually, they're very economically driven for outside. They have a lot of dinners. They stay overnight. The room blocks are amazing. We've been, since September 2nd, the convention center's pretty much been full, and even after those three events, we end the year with the realtors in the building. So we go right up until, Christmas, basically, with filling up with events in the convention center. So we're super excited how strong that has been.
Oliver, what have you seen so far? I know we haven't seen the data yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I kind of leave it to these guys. They're kind of more in the trenches than I am. I mean, I think my sense, again, kind of like where the overall economy has been headed in the last few months, I wouldn't call, probably less sanguine than but I don't know. I mean, to the extent that, clearly these kinds of events, these attempts to expand the shoulder season are obviously important. In some sense, some of that, because it's oftentimes pre-booked, I think, right? Oftentimes these larger convention, like a year out or more, I mean, they're kind of locked in. The contract has been signed, right, to some extent. So, which is good. It's obviously good, especially given where we are. I'll kind of be interested to see where we end up like early next spring, right, in particular.
I was just going to ask that question.
Before the summer season really hits, like, what does March, April, May maybe look like next year?
We
that's a
have
big question.
a very aggressive marketing campaign for fall 2025 to bring visitors in. In the spring and early summer, we focused on the greater Philadelphia region, Delaware, Maryland, and I feel that amazing marketing that we had brought a lot of people in. So now we're redirected our focus to northern New Jersey. We're going to be advertising in the Newark airport. We are going to have a billboard in Times Square New Year's, all of this is between October 13th, January 6th. We are also going to be in Herald Square during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So we're kind of thinking it's called out-of-home marketing, and trying to just emphasize how close Atlantic City is. It's 2 hours, for most of those places. And you get a lot of the international travelers come through Newark. So we're hoping to catch some of those people and have them come on down to Atlantic City.
One last question before we take questions from the audience or anybody else. What is the biggest issue as we move forward to the summer season of 2026? What is the biggest issue facing the tourism community in South Jersey? You guys can, whenever you want to get
Yeah, I think the economy is a big question mark for next year.
Yep.
The economy and increased competition from our competitors. You look at Myrtle Beach, you look at Ocean City, Maryland, Virginia Beach, they're all in our market trading area right now, going after our visitor base. So the increased competition is going to be very strong this year. But we do have the 2026 FIFA World Cup coming, where visitors from all over the world will be coming to New Jersey and Philadelphia. And we're working on plans right now through the Division of Travel and Tourism to get those visitors to travel throughout New Jersey to all of our destinations and hopefully increase tourism.
The plan for that would be like, I guess, open up some hotel rooms for them to stay here where they can get to both facilities where it's 2 hours away each way. Even you can go 4 if you go to DC. It could be like a central hub kind of like for people to stay and enjoy non-game days too.
Well, a game is only an hour and a half.
Correct.
It's 90 minutes long. What do they do the rest of the time? We want them to tour New Jersey and visit all the great assets that we have.
Visit Atlantic City has been closely working with the folks at FIFA to have events in the general Atlantic City or Atlantic County region. So we absolutely do understand the importance of that. New challenges ahead, expanded gaming in New York. That's
To what
big.
degree? To what degree? Like the expanded, is it sucking the customer base? Is it losing customer base? Is it like people not wanting to travel down here?
Well, we spoke about how people are staying closer to their homes, taking these shorter trips. Maybe you're going to come to Atlantic City 2 or 3 times a month, but hey, if you have a casino that's around the corner, even if it's just, your typical slot parlor, maybe you only come to Atlantic City twice and you go there once. So, it could have an impact, but that's why it's important to expand the region. A lot of those types of casinos just sit in the middle of, your neighborhood. There's nothing else there. Here you have so much more. There's the boardwalk, there's the beach, there's, the casino entertainment this summer was amazing. They pulled out every casino, had amazing entertainment. Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall had amazing entertainment. So there's just so much more to do here, and that's why it's so important to get the word out. The marketing is so important in those general areas, especially New York and New Jersey, North Jersey and New York, to just let them know what we have to offer, and it's just not, a 4-wall slot parlor.
I wanted to, Ferris, regarding next year, what is the biggest impact for private businesses in the Atlantic City in this area regarding tourism and things like that?
What will impact the summer?
Next summer, leading into next summer.
Just the events. The more events, the more foot traffic in here, the more businesses, the more... maybe it's shifting also the school time. Like I felt this year too, they are shifted earlier, like late of August, earlier September. That's impacted also our summer.
Yes.
Construction. It was
Okay.
Well, one of the events that we're going to roll out in March is the Atlantic City Restaurant Week.
Yes.
Has been reimagined. It's Taste Atlantic City, and it's going to be an entire month long, where in the past it's been a week. But it's not just going to be in the restaurants. We're going to have food-centric events around the city and in the general region. So we're hoping to expand that. The restaurants, it used to be a fixed price. We're going to have different tier options so that we can, include more businesses, smaller businesses. There's a lot of people who couldn't come up, to the price of the dinner. They were just offering so much. So if we felt, we did a committee and we did a poll and basically said, hey, what do you want? And there was a lot of, if you remember back pre-COVID, Restaurant Week was in March. And then it was moved after COVID into October. But October, we're very busy. We have a lot of, like I said, it's very strong convention season. So moving it to March basically fills a little bit of an area that, maybe we're not as busy. We do have conventions, but maybe we're not as busy. And it'll draw local people or regional people, I don't want to say locals, into our restaurants at a time that they normally wouldn't be as busy.
Oliver, I'll let you take us home on this topic.
I agree. I think that looking out next 6 to 9 months, I think that the overall just direction of the economy is going to be huge, and I think the inflationary pressures, which I think are slowly building. I think there was this expectation that once the tariffs in particular were announced, there's going to be this like immediate impact, and I just don't think that's how those things work. I think they slowly feed into supply chains. I think that we're starting to see that. The last couple, actually, I think it's this week, we were due for the most recent inflation report. Obviously, we're not going to get it with the federal shutdown. But I think that that's a big wild card. Like, to what extent does inflation really start to bite? Puts the Fed in a really bad spot. Unemployment is definitely starting to slowly trend up. It's already, the actual unemployment rate here in the region is already a couple points north of what the state's is. Interestingly enough, the state is hovering around 5. We're closer to 7 here. Last time I looked, last data point I had. So I think that's kind of, those are the challenges. And of course, the New York gaming story is, I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, I think at this point, we're down to like 4 bidders, I think is the last number. I think the expectation is that they're going to award 3 licenses in at least 6 weeks, 7 weeks, to beginning of December, from what I understand. A couple of those, I think, are going to be expansions of existing, racinos, effectively. I think the big wild card is the city project, right? If the right next to Citi Field is the one I think that a lot of people expect. If that turns out to get one of the licenses, and that's literally going to be like a shovels in the ground thing, it's going to take a couple of years probably to build out, but that's big. And so to the extent that like you get something that's a little bit new, sexy, voguey, I could see that having maybe a couple of years down the road, maybe 2-3 years down the road, that could maybe start to have some real impact on the local gaming industry here. But we'll see.
Well, Visit Atlantic City has commissioned a visitor profile study, and it's being conducted right now. It will be completed in December, and at our annual meeting in February, we will be sharing the results of that. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. Very interesting to find out what people are thinking.
Okay, thank you all. What a great panel. Let's have a round of applause for our panelists. And now we'll take some questions from the audience and also from our online participants. So are there any questions from the live audience here?
Okay. While you guys formulate your questions, we do have a few online. I'm going to start with, for 2026, what should our trends in advertising and marketing be focused on? I think we talked a little bit to social media, influencers. Are there any marketing themes that you guys are seeing coming up in your strategies, or something that you might share with a small business or another local operator?
I know that our marketing team at Visit Atlantic City will continue to focus on having influencers come into the area. This summer, we hosted 8 influencers. We had a foodie influencer trip. And having those people come in, it's amazing how much social media that we do get out of that. Back to what you were saying, Alyssa Glover, who is our social media guru, we like to call her, she does an amazing job at putting out what Atlantic City is that people don't think. What do you think of Atlantic City? There's the food and the little, she'll put an entire thing out and have like a cupcake, and you think, oh, it's a cupcake, but it's amazing. Like, I want to go there. I want to experience that. So I think we're just going to keep, diving into the social media posts, building that kind of, our relationship with influencers. And, we find that when we bring people to Atlantic City, they're like, oh, I didn't know this is what Atlantic City it was about. We host, even for meetings and conventions, we have a thing called a familiarization trip. And we're going to be having one on the 18th of October around the Stevie Nicks concert. And we bring in our clients that we're trying to, to hold their meetings in the convention center. And a lot of people are just very surprised at how lovely Atlantic City is, because they just don't know. So bringing people in and having them experience Atlantic City is key to getting that word out.
Any questions yet from our live audience?
I have a question. This is pro and con. What, if any, impact has the cannabis business had as it relates to, the actual tourism or visitors, or is perception a problem, or is it something that is just a non-issue?
I cannot speak to that. I don't. We have one of the largest cannabis conventions in the convention center in September, the NECANN. I can tell you, year over year, that convention has just grown, especially in the last 2 years. I know this particular year, it might have been one of the largest East Coast, conventions of that type. There's definitely a market out there. I could not tell you citywide, but for us, it's great.
Ask and answer.
That's right. I can only be honest. But it's great for the convention center.
But what you had alluded to earlier with the perception that Atlantic City is somehow, just, one industry.
Yes.
It's had that problem even going back for years. I grew up in Atlantic City, and when I told people I lived in Atlantic City, they thought, nobody lives in Atlantic City, you just have the boardwalk.
Yeah.
So it's had this perception for years that it's just, and even now, people think it's just gambling.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's so important to bring convention clients, the influencers in, so that they can see what we have to offer and then spread the word outside. I mean, we do go to conventions, our tourism department, they go international. We spread the word. But the key is getting the people to come here, and then they help us spread the word. We show them what we have to offer. They go back out and they share, especially with social media. It's amazing.
Sarah, any questions online?
Sure, we'll take one more, and I think we're a little past our usual time, so I'll give everybody in the room a chance to think about any last questions. In the interim, I'll ask this one. How important is a safe, walkable entertainment district for Atlantic City? And I'll extend that if you want to speak to walkability in any of our resort communities.
Well, safety is the number one thing that I think people think about when they come.
I didn't hear the question.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Sure. How important is a safe, walkable entertainment district specifically for Atlantic City?
Safe, walkable.
Well, I mean, I know personally when I take my family places, I want to feel safe. Yeah. So it's probably one of the number one important factors in asking people to bring their families here, or vacationers here, or convention clients here. It's extremely important. We focus on the boardwalk because that's everybody knows about the Atlantic City Boardwalk, but it's also important to focus off of the boardwalk.
Yeah.
You know, the city's done a great job with lighting. Lighting makes it makes places safer, and cleaning the streets, and, you know, we need to do all those types of things. And you have to feel safe. You have to be safe, but you also have to feel safe. It's a perception. It's been a perception of Atlantic City that it's not safe for many, many years. I said I've been around for 30 years. And, you know, for 30 years, we've been trying to change that perception. And I think we're getting there, and I think we're doing a good job at that. But, you know, there's always going to be work to be done.
Absolutely, for sure.
So is that our last question?
That is our last question.
All right, well, thank you everyone for attending, both in person and online. And I will say the few takeaways that I got out of the panel is it was mixed results for the summer. The casino revenue was up, and local business seemed to be up, but that the hotel taxes were down, and there is still some uncertainty looking towards the future. But one thing I could get out of the thing is everyone here is resilient, and you've been so creative in coming up with new ways to adapt to the various challenges facing our tourism industry. So kudos to all of you on your hard work. And thank you, everyone.